If you ever hear a second pair of footsteps behind you in the snow, don't turn around, because the thing following you isn't human, and it never walks alone. That warning has echoed in my mind ever since the winter I almost died searching for the truth about the Yeti. My name is Daniel Frost, a travel filmmaker who has spent over a decade documenting the strangest corners of the earth. But nothing, not the Amazon tribes, not the Arctic storms, not the abandoned ghost towns of Alaska, prepared me for what I encountered in the Himalayas. I had gone there in January, during the coldest winter the region had seen in 20 years. Villagers kept begging us not to go too high. They whispered that the mountains were angry, that something ancient lived above the tree line. They believed the creature could smell fear the way wolves smell blood. My team, Hannah, Ethan, and Mark, thought it was superstition. Even I brushed it aside. After all, we were professionals, and the story of the Yeti had fascinated audiences for decades. If we could capture real evidence, it would be the biggest documentary of my career. 3 days into our climb, we reached Himra Pass, a stretch of untouched, blinding white snow. Our Sherpa guide, Dorje, stopped suddenly and pointed down. There, carved perfectly into the ice, was a footprint. Not human, not any animal I'd ever seen. It was nearly 2 feet long, with 5 deep toe marks. Dorje broke pale. "Migoy," he whispered, the wild man. I knelt beside the print and felt a strange warmth melting the snow around its edges, as if whatever made it had body heat far beyond what should survive in this climate. Before I could say anything, a foul odor drifted through the wind, a heavy, musky stench like wet fur mixed with decay. It was unlike anything I had ever smelled. Dorje refused to go any further and left us. We laughed at his fear. That was our first mistake. The first night, around 2 in the morning, something brushed against our tent. At first, I thought it was the wind, but the movement was too slow, too deliberate. Then came the sound, a dragging noise, like claws sliding across the nylon. I unzipped the tent just a little and pointed my flashlight outside. Snow swirled wildly in the darkness, but then a huge shadow flashed across the light. I froze. Before I could react, a massive hand pressed against the tent wall, 5 long fingers, each ending in a hooked tip. The hand slid down slowly, almost curiously, and then vanished. We didn't sleep after that. The next morning, we checked the motion camera we had placed outside. Hannah's hands trembled as she pressed play. At exactly 2:17 a.m., something walked past the lens. The figure was enormous, at least 10 feet tall, covered in thick white fur. But it was the eyes that made my stomach twist. They glowed an icy blue, shining directly into the camera. The device glitched violently, and then the footage cut. We could barely speak. We should have gone back immediately, but greed and curiosity won. We have proof. If we record a full encounter, this documentary will change everything. That was our second mistake. The following evening, while crossing a narrow ridge, Ethan suddenly screamed. We ran back, but he was gone. No broken ice, no fall marks, just his torn backpack, and blood splattered across the snow. The blood was still warm. Hannah collapsed crying, begging us to turn back. I realized then that the creature wasn't attacking randomly. It had watched us since the first day. It was stalking us, choosing us, one by one. Before we could descend, a violent snowstorm hit. The wind turned into a wall of white, erasing the world around us. We huddled together, unable to see anything. Then came the footsteps, heavy, slow, deliberate steps circling us in the snowstorm. I could hear breathing, deep, wet, animal-like. Something massive crouched beside me. I felt the snow shift under its weight. Hannah kept whispering that it was right next to her. Mark panicked, and before we could stop him, he ran blindly into the whiteout. A deafening roar ripped through the storm, followed by the sickening crack of bones snapping, one after another. The screaming stopped. The footsteps circled us again, closer, heavier, almost amused. But then, just as suddenly, the storm calmed and the creature disappeared. At dawn, we forced ourselves to move. We found Mark's body half buried in snow, his torso crushed, his arm torn off. Enormous footprints surrounded him, the same ones we had seen earlier, only fresher, clearer, deadlier. We didn't speak, we just ran. Hours later, as base camp finally came into view, I made the mistake of turning back. On the ridge behind us, it stood, tall, motionless, watching us. Its blue eyes glowed through the snow. It didn't chase us, it didn't roar. It simply studied us, as if curious, as if it wanted us to spread the story. Only Hannah and I survived. Most of our footage was mysteriously corrupted. The rest was lost by the studio, or buried. Because if the world saw what we saw, a creature that big, that intelligent, that silent, panic would spread like wildfire. But I remember every detail, the smell, the hands, the glowing eyes, and the footsteps behind me in the snow.